Happy Wednesday. It's a glorious Wednesday. It's also a Wednesday that is extremely hot here in Texas. It is really hot in Texas. I don't know if it's hotter than normal. I tend to forget previous summers and I tend to forget previous winters, but it really is hot. Of course, it's so hot that there's a lot of demand for AC. AC is one of the least efficient power drain that it can put on the grid, from my understanding. But Austinites preparing for power problems as Iraq asks Texans to conserve. Now I do hope that Austin doesn't have a power grid failure. They don't have a really good track record, to be honest. Alina Cortez lost power roughly 2 weeks during this year's winter storm. KNX first talked to Cortez as the tail end of an ice storm that knocked out powers to tens of thousands of Austin Energy customers. I think only lasted for a day. My mom lost it for a week. Now Cortez says she's moving towards energy independence because she's not confident she'll consistently have power moving forward, including this summer as record heat hits Texas. Funny story about my house. I would love to go solar, but I think my house faces almost directly east. I have this big, nice, glorious, wonderful oak tree that blocks my east side of the roof. There's about a 6 foot section, depending on the time of day, that I actually have light directing my hitting my yard. And it's not the same area. I'm not gonna paint you a picture of my house, but I think about 2 houses behind me, there's this nice big oak tree that's growing straight up. My neighbor has a medium sized oak tree. That's my directly back neighbor. And I have my oak tree, which leaves maybe about 6 feet, 20 feet radius of sun. And I have to constantly move my solar panels just to charge my Delta 2 EcoFlow battery. I was only able to charge it halfway per day. So I'm a little jealous at people that can get solar. Let's put it that way. There's some resentment about escalating costs of living. When do we not feel that is reflected of the standard of living, Cortez says. And as hot as day of the year so far, Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT, is asking consumers to voluntarily conserve energy, if possible, between the times of 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. ERCOT is not experiencing emergency conditions. Voluntary conservation is widely used in the industry tool that can help lower demand for specific periods of peak demand times, which is typically late afternoon into the evening hours, said in a release. Spokesperson for Austin Energy says even though ERCOT was not in an emergency operation, they were keeping a close eye on the grid to see if this will lead to a potential energy emergency alert. Last week, ERCOT also said they're expecting some localized outages this summer as equipment overheats because Texas is hot. It's already 100 degrees. This is the first official day of summer. And it was 104 on my thermometer. All last week was high 98s, 99s. I think one time it actually hit 100. Well, that's Texas for you. That's something that's happened twice last week for Austin Energy. Once, when a disconnection failed, that piece of equipment had a separate power line and substations when a jumper overheated that connect 2 wires, according to a spokesperson. So even Austin's having power issues. What a shock. with the sheer number of electronic components that we have across our 437 square mile service territory, you're going to have some equipment failure from time to time, spokesperson Matt Mitchell said. It doesn't vary from summer to summer. Well, Austin Energy says it's prepared to respond to those outages. Supply chain issues continue to be a concern for them, as in the case of Nationwide. Why? Why? Why is it a concern? Oh, why is supply chain issues? How long are we going to have supply chain issues? Getting those components here, making sure that we have enough stockpile for when we need to replace those components are a real challenge for us, Mitchell said. Whether it be concerning with Texas Grid or Austin Infrastructure, Cortez is saying taking matters into her own hands this summer. We know it's a huge investment, but we are going to stay safe here, and we cannot continue to live like this, always wondering when electricity is going to go to work or when it's not. Oh, going to work and when it's not, she said. Let's see, we also have one from Reuters talking about reduced wind generation puts Texas power systems to the test. In Colorado, June 20th, the Texas power grid operators urged homes and businesses to conserve electricity on Tuesday. It's the first major heat wave of the season, spurs up residents to crank power-hungry air conditioning. Power prices for Tuesday topped $2,500 per megawatt hour in the States, a day ahead of the market, with the expectation of demand that would reach record levels later in that day. I mean, supply and demand. Let's see. In addition to heavy demand for cooling, Texas Grid is also under strain from a recent dip in power generation from wind sources, which have sustained mainly deprive the ERCOT systems of a key source of clean energy power when it's needed the most. You know what else is pretty clean? Nuclear. Nuclear power plants are one of the most efficient, cleanest energies that we have. May not be renewable, but it's still one of the cleanest, biggest bang for your buck. Wind power in Texas is the second largest source of electricity behind natural gas. As to any prolonged drop in wind generation, may leave ERCOT system under a strain just as the peak demand season kicks off. Wind power share. Texas ERCOT system generated roughly 25% of its electricity from wind power in 2022, according to the data from Refinity, and it's on course to increase that share to nearly 29% in 2023, following the estimate of 2 gigawatts of planned capacity addition this year. However, even with those increasing increase in capacity, recent wind power generation totals have slumped over from a year ago levels as wind speeds dropped around the southern United States. Seems like the jet stream doesn't want to play nice with our wind farms. Now keep in mind, I'm not trying to do this to a dig of solar and wind energy. Actually, I think the technology is great. I do have an issue with the monopoly of green energy. Like I said, I would love to go solar here in my house and put a battery in here in my house, because I don't trust Austin Energy to make sure that I have energy. They've already proven within 2 winters that they can't handle the demand here. And I do think independence is the key from Cortez from the previous story. Has the right idea. I think individuals putting solar on their houses is the correct path to go. I don't like the monopoly that these energy companies are having on wind farms and solar farms. In May, the total amount of wind power generated in ERCOT system was just under 310,000 megawatts, which is down 40% from nearly 520,000 megawatts generated in May 2022. The data compiled by Refinity of ERCOT generated statistics shows in the first 19 days of June, around 185,000 megawatts of wind solar was generated, which is down by 45% from 336,000 megawatts generated in the same period in 2022. Combined, roughly 25% drop in power generation from coal and 66.2% decline in nuclear output. The slump in wind generations left ERCOT total power generation roughly 3% down during the first half of June from the same period in 2022. Recovery dive. The recent dip in wind power generation is clearly causing a strain on the Texas power market, but steadily increases in electricity generation capacity across the entire system suggests that the current stresses may only be temporary. In addition, the largest expansion into wind power capability in the United States, Texas utilities are expected to add around 7.7 gigawatts of solar power capacity in 2023. Combination of new wind and solar capacities is helping to alleviate Texas above longtime renewable champion California as a key driver of green energy supply growth in the United States. Utilities have also lifted power generation from natural gas so far this month by roughly 13% from the same period in 2022 and are likely to crank gas power generation even higher to try to ensure that the system averts any major blackouts over the near term. Over the longer run, Texas wind generation totals will play decisive role in ERCOT system stability. A rebound in wind generation level due to new capacity and greater wind speeds will provide a major boost to ERCOT resilience and may enable Texas grid to avert any further power scares in the upcoming heat waves. But substantial decline in wind power supply across Texas may result to an even greater pressure on ERCOT system operators to increase the likelihood of grid breakdowns. These opinions expressed here are those of the author. The comment is for Reuters. As of right now, you got the capacity right here. Here's the demand. Here's the projected demand. Normal condition, there's enough power for the current demand according to ERCOT.com dashboards. Also has a breakdown. Solar is 13.2%. Wind is 13.9%. Hydro is only a measly 0.2%. Power storage is at 0%. Others is I don't know what others is. 0.0%. Natural gas, which is 51.9%. Coal and lignite is at 14.6%. And nuclear is at 6.1%. I wish we had more nuclears, to be honest. Don't know exactly what this means right here. Real time with prices. System-wide demands. Still within normal. Let's see, this shows combined wind and solar. Solar generation. Then we got wind right here, right? No, combined. Which one's wind? So that's actually going really low. See, blah, blah, blah. Don't know what this means. DC type lows. Not sure what that means either. A lot of this is very foreign to me. This right here makes sense to me. This right here makes sense to me. Operating reserves, almost 7 megawatts, normal conditions. That's the only thing that we really need to worry about. There may be some localized issues And those are on the actual individual power generators. Hopefully, with that being said, Austin is okay for at least for today. But as I say, the temperatures are pretty out there. I don't exactly remember what the temperatures were the last June and July, but I do know it did get rather warm. So this is kind of normal for Texas. Texas has some really hot summers. With that being said, that is my video for today. Leave a comment if you have any comments about our energy system. Seems like our grid is doing just fine, barely. Leave a comment down if you have any experiences with the Texas power outages in the winter. That being said, that is my video for today. And have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.